A few moments later.
The light let's see. I'm just following my orders here. Have a game plan. He may have a game plan. He just hasn't shared it with me. But I tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to bed.
Hey there, guys. So I want to talk a little bit more about this insanity that is shaping up to be President Biden's trip to Asia for the G20 meeting. Now, Joe Biden was in the middle of this press conference that we covered a little bit earlier in Hanoi, Vietnam, when he was interrupted by White House press secretary and everyone's favorite affirmative action hire, Karine Jean-Pierre, before he could even finish answering the questions asked by reporters. She cut him off right after Biden, in what we have to assume is just an impression, a really, really old, cognitively struggling world leader, started telling reporters that it was time for bed. It was his bedtime and he was past it, had to go, while trying to answer questions. And of course, it was way off. The bedtime thing had nothing to do with the questions. So Gay JP, who apparently is not only the affirmative action hire press secretary, but a traveling night nurse, she shut things down, man. And I beg you guys, especially the trolls in the chat, show me other presidents being absolutely handled by their staff or Easter bunnies, because this is not an isolated incident, man. And we're gonna see more of these situations involving Biden. It's only getting worse. It's getting so bad that the mainstream media, they're actually beginning to cover it. And it's becoming actually not just covering it, but a prominent topic of their discussion. So, especially since the polls indicate that Biden is way behind even Trump and the hypothetical general. It's crazy. The media, they don't care about corruption, but they seem to want to cover his cognitive struggles, which is weird. I would think it'd be opposite. It's interesting. I'm going to share a video clip with you guys, and so no one can accuse me of manipulating the narrative. Here's the full context. Biden is asked about his relationship with President Xi in China and the situation in Ukraine. And the video's a bit long, but guys, stick with it. You've got to see Biden's response. Let me know what you think of his comments. And if you haven't already, guys, please like, comment, share, most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Take a look at this.
Thank you, Mr. President. I hope you didn't think that calling only on women would get you softballs tonight.
Oh, I know better than that.
Okay, well, let me start with President Xi.
If you sent me a softball, I wouldn't know what to do with it. I'd probably strike out even worse.
Well, let me ask you about, you've spent lots of time talking about all the time you spent with President Xi and the importance of leader-to-leader communication, yet you two haven't spoken in 10 months. And I just wonder, are you worried that this is destabilizing the U.S.-China relationship, and what are you going to do about it? And then, if I may, on Ukraine, sir, Kiev is upset that the G20 communique didn't name Russia as the aggressor. Have you managed to rally more support or sympathy across the G20, or is this emerging as a wedge issue with the Global South? And does that change your commitment to Ukraine?
It's not a wedge issue with the Global South. It's a wedge issue with Russia, which is present, and with China, which is present, has representation. And and by the way, I am, my team, my staff still meets with President Xi's people and his cabinet, in effect. I met with his number 2 person here in India today. So it's not like there's a crisis if I don't personally speak to him. It'd be better if I did. But I think, look, this is not a criticism. It's an observation. He has his hands full right now. He has overwhelming unemployment with his youth. One of the major economic tenets of his plan isn't working at all right now. I'm not happy for him that, but it's not working. So he's trying to figure out, I suspect, I don't know, just like I would, trying to figure out what to do about the particular crisis they're having now. But I don't think it's a crisis relating to conflict between China and the United States. As a matter of fact, I think it's less likely to cause that kind of conflict. Anyway, I just think that there are other things on leaders' minds, and they respond to what's needed at the time. And look, nobody likes having celebrated international meetings if you don't know what you want at the meeting. If you don't have a game plan. He may have a game plan. He just hasn't shared it with me. But I tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to bed. Yeah, we talked about at the conference overall. We talked about stability. We talked about making sure that the Southern Hemisphere had access to changes, had access. It wasn't confrontational at all. He came up to me.
Thank you, everybody. This ends the press conference. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
So yeah, man, a reporter asked a question and Joe's super unrelated answers about his bedtime. Then he starts rambling when he gets another question. So KJP, she shut that sucker down, man, to protect the old guy from making any more of a fool of himself, is what it looks like. That's what it looks like, at least. The White House, they must have a panic button for whenever Joe starts sounding incoherent or is about to just go, in the complete wrong direction. It's pretty freaking amazing when you look at it. This is the leader of the free world, and he's handled like a damn nursing home patient. I think there's some real fear from the White House and the Democrats that Biden is going to have a Mitch McConnell moment. And it looks like it's just a matter of time before that happens. They're doing every stinking thing in their power to make sure that it does not happen. And, at least when it does happen, that we don't see it. Anyway, you juxtapose that with Donald Trump in Iowa. And obviously there's conflicting reports out there. The reception that he got at the football game in Iowa, a bunch of the mainstream liberal media puppets reported that Trump was booed and unwelcome in Iowa. They apparently don't remember the 80,000 strong people, chanting FJB. But, they forgot all about that. A few boos for Trump and they go completely hilariously awesome. Anyway, but even CNN is starting to report that indeed Trump was welcomed in Iowa and he received cheers, he received chants from the crowd. Check it out.
Iowa today, all about college football, the big rivalry game between Iowa State and University of Iowa. But for the presidential candidates running in this first of the nation caucus state, it is for them a political opportunity. Both Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis were at this game. Both sat inside the stadium. DeSantis sitting with the crowd, sitting beside Iowa's popular Republican governor, and Donald Trump sat in a box, a stadium box. I want you to listen as what the crowd was saying, how they looked as the former president left the stadium. You can hear the chanting, you can hear the loud applause. This is imagery that the Trump campaign certainly wants Iowa voters to see. Now, ahead of all of this going inside the stadium, both DeSantis and Trump were tailgating. Trump stopped at a tailgating party hosted by a fraternity. We saw him flipping burgers, signing footballs, even tossing some of those footballs into the crowd. Ron DeSantis also was tailgating, but he focused his comments on the political, saying that he's visited the state of Iowa more times than Trump, far more times, a total of 8 visits, and that he has visited more than half of Iowa's 99 counties.
And I'm actually starting to hear a lot of people saying, because you're showing up, I'm supporting you, because that's the way you got to do it. Iowans don't want the campaign to be about the past or to be about the candidates' issues. They want it to be about their future and the future of this country. And that's what I represent.
More than 60,000 were at this game today. A game, again, focused on football. A lot of students say they sure did enjoy the spectacle of it, but it was really the game that was their emphasis. And as far as the end score, Iowa topping Iowa State 20.
Yeah, man. So while Biden is struggling through press conferences, embarrassing the United States in every possible way on the global stage, Trump is receiving massive applause, praise, and cheers in Iowa. Even if you believe the people that booed him, they're few. The contrast between, these two men, especially in the terms of public perception, it could not be any more different. It really could not be. Trump's popularity looks like it's soaring no matter what they do to the guy, while Biden is plummeting, which is amazing. It's scary that he still can get worse. That's terrifying when you think about it. But anyway, press conferences like this, they don't help. Politics and partisanship aside, guys, it's concerning, man, when you see the president of the United States admit that he's just following instructions from his handlers and is not actually in control of anything. And the fact that his team had to cut off his microphone while he was answering a question because he seemed to be losing his train of thought, that's unacceptable stuff. It's obvious and it's understandable that the guy was tired. He was exhausted on the other side of the world, dealing with jet lag. I get that. But his lack of energy, his lack of coherence, it's fair to question this, man. It is getting to the point where we have to be truly concerned about his ability to even serve as president. None of us want to see Kamala. No one wants to see that. But we can't have this either. So I don't know what the answer is. But anyway, it's pretty wild to watch all the safeguards the administration they put in place to make sure that this guy doesn't make a fool of himself. But, really is insane to watch people ignore it. The people we know, the media, they're ignoring this stuff. And, they don't even give it a look. They won't even allow themselves to question it. All these mushy-brained, people who've been abused by all this propaganda. If things keep going like they're going, there is no possible way that guy is not going to be replaced. He has to be replaced. Nothing else makes sense. Anyway, guys, that's just my take. Let me know yours in the comments. And if you haven't already, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. We'll see you in the next one.